Hello, welcome to Sportsmile's Reader Awards for the 2016-17 campaign. We're here to discuss the Premier League game of the season. Matt, any games that stand out for you this campaign?
It's been some crackers, isn't there? Some really good games, lots of goals this season. But I think the one for me would be Leicester against Manchester City from December 10th at 4-2 to Leicester. It was a game where Leicester, because obviously we're not about Leicester, what they did last season, made a poor start to the season. That ended their 5-game winless run, and hat-trick for Vardy, who again started the season quite poorly, didn't he? And after his brilliant season last campaign, and I think it was 3-0 Leicester inside 20 minutes, and they blew it. I think it was a stage of the season where Man City, there were question marks being asked about their defence and whether they could really, whether Guardiola had sorted out them tactically, and 3-0 down against Leicester within 20 minutes, and I think it went 4-0, didn't it? Man City got a couple back late on, but to go 4-0 down at Leicester and at that stage, entering a busy period of the season, what was it? It was in December, wasn't it? Entering the Christmas break. I think that was the first time people were thinking, oh, cool, Man City ship 4 here. Maybe they're not defensively good enough to win the league. It was a big result for Leicester at that stage of the season as well. So that's the one for me, but there's plenty of others in there.
That was an incredible game, wasn't it? The way it was the first we'd really seen of Leicester of last season. Finally looked like that sort of team again after such a disappointing opening half of the campaign under Ranieri. So many other great games to choose from this season. You got on the opening weekend, Arsenal 3, Liverpool 4. That was a superb game. Again, it was a bit of a blitz from Liverpool scoring a lot in quick succession against Arsenal. They came back a bit towards the end, but Liverpool held on. Those big games are always a big thing surrounding them. But for me, the one that stands out most is one towards the other end of the table, Swansea versus Crystal Palace in November. Both teams were battling against relegation, even at that early stage of the season. Obviously, both eventually avoided relegation, but that felt like such a pivotal game at that point, and the way it transpired was incredible. Swansea took the lead, and then Palace came back with 3-1 up, and then the other way around, and then Palace went ahead, and then it's just so many late goals. Swansea won it with a Llorente brace in stoppage time. So hard to keep track of. I remember doing the commentary of the game, and there were so many twists and turns, so many late goals. It was incredible. Like one of the best Premier League games I've seen in a long time, and the fact that there was so much riding on it towards both relegation as well, both teams struggling at the wrong end of the table. It was just an incredible game. You didn't really expect it from either side either, because there hadn't been great quality going forward from either side for much of the opening stages of the season. Obviously defensively, questions got to be asked for them, but as an entertainment spectacle, that one stands out above all others for me. It was a superb game.
Yeah, Everton Bournemouth in there as well from February 6-3, so Everton another big one. Lukaku got 4 in that game, and Josh King popped up with a couple from Bournemouth. He had a good season as well, didn't he, for Bournemouth in there, lots of goals. And I think Everton this season were pretty good at home, weren't they? Away from home against the big teams, it struggled to really, match them. They got a point at Old Trafford. They're unfortunate not to win that game, but yeah, Lukaku got 4 in that game, and there's other games in there. Man City, a few Liverpool games. Man City won, Liverpool won. Bournemouth beat Liverpool 4-3. It was a late goals as well, wasn't it? And a game on the south coast of lots happening inside the penalty box. Liverpool's defence being questioned again, so it'll be interesting to see what's in this one.
Yeah, 3 Liverpool games, 3 Bournemouth games there. They both provided a lot of entertainment in that season. The Man City Liverpool game is obviously the lowest scoring there, 1-1, but the quality of football was sensational in that game. It's just end to end. The tempo barely dropped. It's a couple of really bad missed chances. Lallana had one, Aguero had one. Either side could have won that, and although 1-1 doesn't stand out amongst some 5-4s and 6-3s in this list of nominees, it was such a good game of football. Bournemouth, yeah, you mentioned them there, 3-3 against Arsenal. That was a great game. Bournemouth went 3-0 up. Arsenal somehow came back, scored 3 goals in the final 20 minutes despite looking dead and buried before that. They had offered very little in that game. The Bournemouth 4 Liverpool 3 game was certainly one to forget for me. That was a horrendous game. We were 3-1 up, looked in control, and then Bournemouth came back with some late goals and pulled off a fantastic comeback. Fair play to them, but they were certainly the 2 most entertaining teams in terms of the amount of games they had, which was special. But shall we see what the top 3 are?
Okay, so in third position was the one that I mentioned, Leicester 4, Manchester City 2. That got 23% of the votes. In second place was Bournemouth 4, Liverpool 3, 25%. And in first place was a game from the opening day of the season, Arsenal 3, Arsenal 3, Liverpool 4, opening game of the season, where Liverpool blitzed and Arsenal came back later on. They got 29% of the votes.
And those top 3 quite way ahead of everything else, which is quite interesting because there's a lot of good games there. those three all really great games. They'll go down as Premier League classic, each and every one of them. So not surprised to see that one. To be honest, I know Leicester Man City was your choice. I would have had that a bit further down the list. You know, you talk about the Swansea Crystal Palace game, which I chose. I think that was just sensational. The late twists and turns. But any complaints with that top three?
No, it's difficult, isn't it? Because it depends what you want from a game. You know, lots of goals, like you mentioned, in Man City, Liverpool 1-1. It's difficult because just because there's not a lot of goals doesn't mean it was a good game, and vice versa. Just because there's loads of goals doesn't mean it's a great game to watch. But you know, the top three are all packed full of goals, so not too many complaints.
But our Premier League game of the season is Arsenal 3, Liverpool 4.